So I know a lot of you probably follow these finance content creators, and they always talk about retiring at an earlier age. Sometimes you see these people talk about retiring in their 50s, some in their 40s, and some in their 30s. So the natural question for yourself is, well, how can I retire at an early age? Or some of you might ask yourself this very, very popular question: how can I actually retire in 10 years starting with absolutely no money? So it really comes down to these three steps. Now, I do want to preface by saying if you want to retire or become financially independent, what really matters the most is how much money you're able to save. Contrary to what a lot of people believe, they think their income is what's important. And of course it is in the beginning, but in the end, it's really important to think about how much money can you keep in your pocket. And the reason I say this is because I know so many people in America who make six figures, like $100,000, and they're still living paycheck to paycheck. I also know a few people in my life who are making over $200,000 or $300,000 per year, who again are also living paycheck to paycheck. So I know there are a lot of teachers out there in lower paying jobs who are making between $50,000 or $60,000 per year. And even they are able to save 10 to 20% of their income, sometimes even $30,000 out of their income every single year, which it literally means they're saving more money per year than the people making $200,000. Anyway, before we talk about step number one, hit that subscribe button really quick. You don't even ever have to come back to this channel, but I've got 16 subscribers and it hurts a little bit and I kind of want to see those numbers go up. So hit subscribe. Again, you don't even have to ever come back to this channel. All right, so step number one to retiring early is we need to calculate your FU number. So essentially the FU number means if your boss were to come up to you one day and ask you to do some ridiculous thing at your job because you have a lot of money in your savings, you're able to just say FU to your boss, leave the job, and retire. Oh, I'm just kidding. You don't ever say that to your boss. That's kind of mean, but you get the point. So take some time right now to think about this. How much money would I feel comfortable having every single year if I were to be retired? And for a lot of people, actually, this number is not as far out of reach as they think. So for myself personally, if I wanted to retire today and keep my same lifestyle, I would need about $25,000 per year. I live in the state of Kansas, which is the middle of nowhere, and things don't cost as much as they do elsewhere. So again, it would take me $25,000 a year to retire, and that would take me from, the age of 25 all the way to 80 because my investments would keep up with the amount of money I'm withdrawing. So think about this number. How much do I need every single year in order to pay my expenses? So what you're going to do is you're going to take this number and then multiply it by 25. And what this tells you is the amount of number you need to have invested in order to withdraw your yearly expenses every single year. So to break it down, you're taking 4% of your invested portfolio value while your stocks continue to keep up with inflation and grow 6 to 10% every single year. All right, so you probably ended up getting a number that is probably just over $1 million. And this seems pretty daunting at first, but when you think of the power of compounding in the stock market, you can actually achieve this number fairly quickly. And that doesn't mean you have to contribute $1 million. Depending on how quickly you do this in your age currently, you could either contribute $100,000 and wait 40 years, or you could contribute $600,000 over 7 years and be retired in 7 years. So let's talk about some numbers really quick so we can see what that means. If, let's say my income was $50,000 per year, and I'm able to save 10% of my income, meaning that I'm saving and investing $5,000 per year, making, 10% in the market, which is an average number, and having a 4% withdrawal rate at retirement, that means that I can hit $1 million after 33.1 years. Now, here's where the magic starts to happen. If instead of saving 10% of my income, I now save 20%, if I crunch those numbers, it basically tells me I can retire in 25.2 years. So if we keep going up and up, let's say, you're young, you're in your 20s, and you live at home, and you're able to invest 60% of your income. it would take you about 10.3 years to retire. So personally, I will be hitting this FU number. If I continue doing what I'm doing now, I'll hit it within 5 or 6 years. So by the time I'm 31 or 32. And this will give me some really good security in my life. If I get laid off, fired, or I decide to leave a job, I know that I'm able to pay my bills every single month for the rest of my life if I really wanted to. And once a lot of people hit this number, it's a cue for some to, switch careers to a less stressful career. I mean, I don't think a lot of people retire completely in their 30s. A lot of them keep going, but make some major life changes at that point. So let's say you're someone who is struggling to save and invest money, but they still want to retire after 10 years. Well, what this takes is being honest with yourself. Where am I spending money that is draining my bank account every month? Maybe I own a home that's way too nice and it's hard to afford the payments. Maybe I spend a lot of money on eating out. Or maybe I just need to relook at my phone bill, insurance plans, and everything that I'm subscribed to and find lower rates. That way we can free up more money to invest every month. So completely be honest with yourself. Look at your bank statements and see where the most money is going out each month. After you amend this, a lot of people find that they're saving around $500 or $600 extra dollars per month just by making a few simple life changes. So me, for example, I've decided to cut back on a lot of things in my life in order to save more money. And I found that some of the biggest areas I spent money was on groceries and food and things like gym memberships. So I was going to a really nice gym and I decided to dial it back and go to Planet Fitness. Even though Planet Fitness isn't really the same quality as the gym I was going to before, they still have the correct tools for me to get the same workout. What's a treadmill that costs me $200 per month versus a treadmill that costs me $10 per month? See what I mean? The other thing I did was grocery bill. So I was shopping for my food at Walmart and it was costing me around $150 per week. I heard about Aldi through a friend and I switched over to Aldi and it was only costing me about $60 per week to buy the same exact items. So just these two little changes ended up saving me about $250 in the first month. So again, make some changes to your life in order to save as much money as you can. Once you do this, start investing like crazy. Look online and find an investing strategy that works well for you and learn how to understand the market before you put money anywhere. And again, if you invest consistently and you make due diligence to live a more frugal lifestyle, just about anybody can retire in 10 years. So if you made it this far, go ahead and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this. How old do you think you'll be when you retire? And will you be making any changes in your life to affect this timeline? Without further ado, I appreciate y'all for watching, and we will see you in the next video. Peace.